Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over a new team. It's going to be Galarian Stunfisk, Azumarill, and then Safe Swap Pelipper. So Pelipper's got really good energy generation and pretty good typing to go along with a lot of damage as well. So that's why I think it's a pretty good safe swap. So I got two sets for you today. Let's go ahead and get into it. I sped up the battles for us here, so... Alright, Lickitung lead. I decided to stay in this, at least to the Earthquake, and I think it's worth a shield too. So my reasoning here is because most of the time the Lickitung teams are running with Medicham and Sirfetch'd. But they would have switched into it by now, I think, which is interesting. So I decided to go for the double Earthquake, probably going to get the shield back. We're going to switch into Pelipper right after this. It's going to be pretty close to the Weather Ball range here. They decide to come into with Altaria. I'm going to go for the Hurricane. They can get to a move before we can get to the bait and the Hurricane, so I'm just going to go for the Hurricane here. They do end up shielding it. Unfortunate for us, they also get a lot of excess energy here as well. And then I have to make a choice whether or not I want to come in Azu or G-Fisk. I decide to come in G-Fisk because it's going to resist all the charge attacks, which this Altaria is going to actually have a bit of that on its side. Whereas if I come in with the Azu, we're hard resisting the Dragon Breath, but we're going to be taking neutral damage from all the good catch here. From all the charge moves. So I'm going to let this go. This is a body slam for sure, and I'm going to go all in on Azu. We're going to try to farm this all the way down, and then it's a question of, do I shield the possible play rough, or I'm sorry, power whip or not? I decide not to. If I remember, this was not good for me, but I don't remember the exact team yet, and I don't want them to get a move off. And I'm already almost at 100 energy here. I think I'm at 90 energy at that point, so I'm not going to waste it. And it is a Medicham in the back. It's going to take two play roughs to KO. The thing we have to worry about is a possible bait and a psychic, but I think we might outpace to that as well. No, do we? Yeah. Boom. That wasn't the game I remember. I remember losing one of the nail biters. Oh, you always hate the mirror match here, so I like to go one over on the Earthquake, but the thing is, if they bait, you have to make a decision on whether or not you want to bait or not. And I do remember this game. I made some really horrific plays, so I decided not to bait. I usually don't bait, but yeah, I then decide, you know what, I'm going to try to catch the Earthquake on the Pelipper, but that was a little too fancy. I definitely should have just come in Azu. The bulk alone would have been enough to counteract this Stunfisk, and then they end up catching the Weather Ball in Azu. Like, all things are going wrong. And then I'm going to have to make a decision because they're going to get to the Ice Beam before I get to the Hurricane. I have to make a decision on whether or not I want to get this Hurricane off, and I decide that I do want to get it off. And the reason is, they're going to take me out anyways on the Azu, so I'd rather come in with my Azu and try to farm it down if it's in that sort of range to farm down. And I actually mistimed a bit of the moves there because I was getting a little antsy. I definitely could have done a little better here, but I'm going to actually just commit to this farm down. We lag. They're probably only going to get one play rough. They might get two, actually. And then I'm going to go for the Ice Beam here and hopefully farm this down as well. What do they have in the back? So it could be Altaria. If it's Altaria, that's pretty good for us. We're going to live this. And then the question is about undercharge. I'm going to undercharge this and try to get a few more bubbles in. But this Azu is so low at this point, it might just be over. Oh, and I switch in and get a couple more mud shots in. That's pretty good. Ooh, it ends up being a Trevenant. So this is rough because, yeah, obviously they're getting a ton of energy here. If they go to the Shadow Ball, it's going to be close to KOing us. And then obviously Azu's doing almost no damage, and we're super low HP. We CMP tie here. I think we do live this Shadow Ball. I think I remember this game. We get super lucky here at the end that they decide not to shield for some reason. And then it's just Azu versus Azu and a farm down. Neither of us have energy, so the shields don't matter at all, and we get a tie. I'll settle for a tie. We made some big mistakes in that game. All right, Trev is a tough lead. You obviously don't want to go into either of your Watermon, but Pelipper does do super effective fast attacks, and that along with the Weather Balls is going to do enough damage towards the end. But the way I like to do this is if you shield the Shadow Ball, throw until they're 3 away from the Seed Bomb, then swap into Pelipper to snipe the KO. Now, we didn't get it there, but this is just going to be a Seed Bomb, which is neutral and not that great of a move, and we're going to get a little bit of an energy advantage here. They actually are using Shadow Wall Rain, like we said in the last video. Shadow Wall Rain, not too bad. Still in this league, which is tough because Pelipper actually does much better in the league when Wall Rain is getting pushed out. So it was a slight buff to Pelipper to make Wall Rain a little worse. Another decision I have to make here, and I decide I want to go into G-Fisk. This is probably in 1 Rock Slide range, and unfortunately I go for the CMP here. That's a mistake. But I'm going to shield, hoping that it is the Earthquake, and it is. And we'll see if they want to save the shield or not for Wall Rain or whatever they have in the back. So they decide to keep the Wall Rain. They decide to swap. I'm going to go up to 2 Rock Slides here just to be safe. They're technically not at their Weather Ball yet, or Icicle Spear yet on Wall Rain. And this match is going to take forever, so I'm going to take a drink. Now we do have to remember they are 4 bubbles ahead, but my Azu is super bulky, and I should be able to live 3 play roughs from here. Maybe it's 2. Yeah, we definitely live another play rough here. This isn't too bad, and we'll probably get off 2 play roughs as well onto this Azu. One thing we have to remember is the timer coming up. Okay, our timer is up, so when we get this play rough off, we're going to want to swap to G-Fisk and just throw the Rock Slide, because remember, they're 1 away from the move, I think. And we actually overtap, but I think they overtap as well. And that's GG. All right, game 4. Yeah, we're 2-0-1 here. A weird lead. At the very least, they don't have Water Gun, which is great. Probably not worth baiting in this matchup. I imagine you can get to 2 Earthquakes before... Yeah, you can get to 2 Earthquakes in the 1s, I'm pretty sure, since you can eat one of the Surfs and then you only have to shield 1 more. I decide to shield here. I don't know if G-Fisk is going to be good in the back. The odds are it will be, because they stayed in Lantern, considering this is not the greatest Lantern matchup. And then I already have an Earthquake queued up. I saw it was a normal type in the top, but I didn't see what it was going to be. Ends up being Dunsparce. And then I don't really know Dunsparce's moveset. I know it has Drill Run, and I'm pretty sure it has Body Slam, but I wasn't ready for this one. Rock Slide. Okay, so roll out Rock Slide, possibly Mud Shot, or Mud Bomb. Not Mud Bomb, Drill Run. Jeez. So I figure Azu's probably the safest to come in here, and I want to go up to like 8 bubbles, get some energy advantage, and they actually come in Queen right when we have the move, so I'm also going to switch into G-Fisk here. And this is pretty low at this point that I'm just going to throw this Rock Slide, and I'm just going to be able to farm this down with Azu. So I decide I'm not going to shield here at all. If they go for the Earth Power, they'll KO us, but they won't get to a Poison Fang. We'll end up farming them down. They go for the bait, and that's GG on the 4th game. All right, so game 5 here. Trust in the Duck. That's a good name. All right, bad lead. Swap Pelipper. All right, really bad swap. Bastiodon. But Pelipper actually does pretty good against this, especially with an energy advantage. You can get it to like 5%, maybe even a little less. But yeah, you get like 4 Weather Balls off. Or 3, I guess. And then you have to make the all-important decision. Are they going to throw right away, knowing you'll go into G-Fisk, and throw a flamethrower, and then so you just come in Azu? Or are you just going to come in G-Fisk and eat that damage? They actually wait here, and they do call the Stone Edge correctly. But I am going to get a farm down, which is going to be nice still on the Azu. 3 bubbles, pretty good. Azu takes so long to get to its moves anyways. Having this energy advantage is just so good. This is tough, though. Sableye and the 2s can really put some pressure on you with all the baiting, which can be, yeah, obviously really tough. And I really don't have too many places for G-Fisk to go. What I can do is throw 2 Earthquakes at Metacham. The problem is, if I get baited many times on Azu, it's just going to be over. And I think I remember losing this game. But we do, we'll go through this still. The Earthquakes, like I said, we're going to get to 2 Earthquakes here, even with the Ice Punch. I'd rather not. Actually, I don't think we do. So I end up throwing the Rock Slide just to get it lower so I can try to farm down. And then I do remember this. I make a really bad call. So they're basically at the return on Sableye, so I really should save my shield here. And if I get Psychicked, I get Psychicked. But most likely they're going to use Ice Punch because they know they can get the shield or and do some damage afterwards. But I really should have saved the shield there. It's possible that double Foul Play would have KO'd me here still before I make it to the move. I think we would have lost CMP. We would have been close, but I think that's the way I should have played that matchup out. Live or die by the Psychic because we know that they're basically at the return, which is definitely going to KO the Azumarill. All right, so that was 3-1-1, and then we'll go on to this next set. Araquanid, which is a weird lead because all of our Mon kind of beat this. But G-Fisk doesn't really care too much. I want to throw the Rock Slide before I get Bubble Beamed. All they're going to do is Bubble Beam. So I decide already I'm going to throw 2 Rock Slides at this and then probably swap to Pelipper to start to get an energy advantage. This matchup definitely takes a long time. Also, not switching out of this really shows that they have some sort of weakness to G-Fisk in the back. Let's see, this is weak to Flyers, so it's probably a Steel type. Could be a G-Fisk, could be a Reggie, could be Reggie and G-Fisk. G-Fisk actually goes really well with Araquanid, so it still could be G-Fisk in the back. If it is G-Fisk in the back, it's pretty good. Pelipper versus Reggie, obviously not very good. But yeah, they one-shot you for sure with the Zap Cannon. You technically could do a ton of damage to this thing, but it's definitely not worth it to attempt such a thing. Yeah, going to come in G-Fisk. We're going to go all the way up as far as we can, knowing that they aren't going to be able to throw until they get to 7 or 14 turns, I should say, on the for the Focus Blast. And then again, we're going to need to throw another Earthquake here, but I'm going to make sure that if they're going to come in Araquanid, I'm just going to get rid of this thing. But I need to make sure that I'm farming as much as possible, and now we'll be able to make a choice if they come in with a third different Mon. And it is Skarmory. This game's still pretty close. We have to be fearful of a Brave Bird, which means we want to shield as late as possible because the odds of them Brave Birding as soon as possible is pretty low. We also have to recognize that they did switch out of Reggie earlier than we did. I think I make a huge mistake here. So, nope. Oh, they did Brave Bird. And then I went for one more and through because I thought they would leave early and then they didn't. And then, oh my gosh. What I should have done is saved the move and then swapped to G-Fisk. Possibly have that half turn later against the Skarmory because I believe this Rock Slide doesn't KO. Oh, which is tough. Because I think there are 2 Sky Attacks here. Or we don't have the shield, yeah. That was a tough one. Yeah, what you should be doing is just waiting. They definitely didn't have energy on Registeel, so I had infinite time to try to get Registeel down. Okay, they led Swampert, so Azu is, or I should say Pelipper is a lot better against Swampert than Azu is. So I don't want to change into the hard swap. So in this case, I do actually swap into Azu, but this is pretty rare. We already got the shield here. I'm not looking to like win this matchup with Azu. Azu's kind of just going to be tanking all this damage. Possibly we get off the 2 ice beams. It's not going to be enough to KO this, but we'll be able to come in with G-Fisk. I don't want to swap back to G-Fisk though. At this point, we're kind of all in on Pelipper and or energy generation on Stunfisk. So I'm going to go for the full farm down on this. Well, Braper is a good choice here because it'll give us less farm. And then I want to make sure that I throw the Earthquakes into Swampert. This is going to be a CMP. We'll shield. We'll see if we take their shield. And then hopefully that back matchup, we either can win with Pelipper or get a huge energy advantage on Stunfisk to throw more energy at that Swampert. So it does end up being their own Stunfisk. I need to make sure that I always throw on CMP. Since we win CMP, we won't let any moves through. We already have a little bit of a lead as it is. We can take 1 Rock Slide, which is really good because we're really going to be pressuring the shields here. Again, we're going to throw every time they get to 5 because they're going to be throwing Rock Slides at us. And really, that's going to pressure the shield a lot. So 1 more here will actually get it super low. Is it in KO range? I don't know if it is. But at the very least, we would get some... I think it actually is in KO range. Yeah. And then we'll CMP tie with Swampert here as well and be able to win that CMP. So Pelipper's very attack weighted. Swampert beats a lot of things in CMP in the Great League. So that should say a lot about how much Pelipper is attack weighted. All right, same thing as before. I assume it's going to... Oh, I messed this up. So if they come in, look at the top. If it is just fighting, you cannot come in with Azumarill. So this is a huge mistake here. You have to come in Pelipper. Pelipper wins this matchup because Sirfetch'd is frail, even with the energy lead. And Azu, this matchup's tough because Azu takes so long to get to its moves. Also, he got the boost. It's like the worst. It's like the worst possible things in all the worlds happening, right? Yeah, this is a Night Slash, and then they farm down. Man, if they didn't have the boost, they'd have to go for the Leaf Blade there. I do end up shielding this, so kind of our win condition is Pelipper at this point. They're going to come back in with Lickitung. And this is, again, another point where I'm like, okay, I guess I can go double Earthquake. The problem is Lickitung has a lot of energy at this point, or a decent amount of energy. But we're not in one-shot range on Pelipper, but the problem is Lickitung is so bulky that Pelipper, I believe we're one away from Hurricane here, but they're going to get a farm down here because we're going to barely not make it to this Rock Slide. And we don't get the move through here. I remember this really annoyed me in the moment because I think we win this if we had gotten the move through. The way the game's supposed to be working, but you can see that I'm lagging hardcore. Like I say it all the time, my internet's not that great. So I'm always lagging. You can see the top left, the ball's always spinning up there. It is what it is. I think a weather ball would have KO'd from there. It would have been close, but that's what I would do. Okay, this one, we're going to try to do the same thing we did last time. We're going to allow them to get to, we're going to shield this. If it's Shadow Ball, we're going to let them get to the 3 here. Or we should let them get to 5. So they're at 5. Yeah, sorry. So they're 2 away, but they're going to get KO'd by 2 wing attacks if they don't react fast enough. Another Bastiodon. What was the team we faced earlier? Because it was a similar team, except that they threw their move before they died. This person kind of got locked into their move. Again, you always lose this matchup, but you always get it pretty low, and then you have to make the decision on whether or not you want to eat the damage on Azu or on Stunfisk. And I'm probably going to go in Stunfisk here because we've already been bit before. And it seems like Azu should probably be pretty good against the back. It does end up being Medicham. Oh, the thing we have to worry about here is a power-up punch. So I'm not going to shield the first one because if they get the power-up punch on the first one, we're super screwed. And then we always have to make sure that we throw in odd number bubbles. So throw on 1, 3, 5, 7 to make sure that they're not sneaking in extra moves since they're using 2-turn moves. They do end up baiting me. And then I'm like, screw it, I'll go for the bait too. It doesn't even matter to go for this bait. This is a weird bait. We're trying to swap onto the Psychic. We do switch in. Switch timer just came up at the perfect time to allow us to get this. They undercharge it. They go for a bit of... they go for an undercharge to get a little bit of more energy generation. And I know that I stopped for a second that time. I waited. I believe a Stone Edge won't KO from here. If they're super XL'd, ours is a rank 1 Hazu. And maybe those IVs mattered for once. Now, you guys know I'm not a huge proponent of IVs. A lot of my Mon have just the worst IVs. It doesn't really matter that much. In that case, it did. It's like 1 in 30 battles. That's a number I'm making up. But 1 in 30 battles that it matters. So, okay. Victory Bell. Shadow Victory Bell in the front. This usually means Bastiodon in the back. I want to just be able to get this. I swap on the move, which isn't great. Because now I don't sneak in the move, which is fine. But I'm going to try to take this last shield. Victory Bell is super frail, so I want to make sure... Wiggly tough. Okay. I try to see if I can get to the Hurricane. I cannot. I can't even get to 2 Weather Balls either. So I'm just going to throw the 1 Weather Ball. Probably this is close to Rock Slide range. The real question is whether or not I want an energy lead on Azu to go into the Victory Bell and then possibly try to beat something in the back. And I do come in Azu here to try to finish it off, get a little bit of an energy lead. Don't really care about this move. Obviously, I wish I didn't get KO'd there, but I'm going to CMP to this. And now I have 2 Mon against what's ever in the back, which I assume is Bastiodon, but I don't really beat Bastiodon. I don't know what I can beat with these low of a Mon. This is close. So we left G-Fisk with 2 mud shots, which means we'll beat it to Earth Power because it's 1 over. It went 1 over the Poison Fang. So it would take them 7 and it would take us 6 to get to the move. And there we go. We won that one by the skin of our teeth there. But yeah, this team was pretty good. I used it a lot last season. No, not last season. The season just started. I guess 10.5, season 10.5, the interim season. And yeah, it was pretty good. And it seems like it's still pretty good now. So pretty good climbing team. Walrein out of the meta gives it a little bit more play, I guess. Everything is pretty neutral against Walrein. Neutral to bad. So a slight Walrein nerf gives these Mons slight advantages against it and the meta as well. So thank you for watching this video. If you haven't, definitely subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment if you like this team or if you have a team in mind I can try as well. And I will see you in the next one.